Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your local and regional governance subject. This is still your professor, Mr. Krip Anthony E. Ramos, and for this session, we will be talking about the history of local governance from post-colonial period up to the present times. Okay, so as we start this discussion, of course, we will be going back to the post-colonial period, most especially during 1954. So during that time, the Republic Act number 1062 has been enacted, and take note that this act has granted the municipal councils greater autonomy in the preparation of the municipal budgets, which amended, of course, yung certain sessions nga or sections ng ating revised administrative code. This is important, most especially, syempre if we are dealing with if we are dealing with the municipal budgets, napakahalaga nito sa mga government units simply because syempre kapag meron kang autonomy in terms of your preparation of the municipal budgets, hindi mo kailangan makinig sa sa ibang tao or di naman kaya hindi mo kailangan magpa-impluwensya. So with that, syempre matutugunan yung mga pangangailangan most especially ng mga ng mga lugar sa mga tagong lugar o di naman kaya ay yung mga isolated areas na na syempre medyo malayo sa kabiasnan o di naman kaya ay sa syudad. Next, also during 1955, Republic Act number 1245 has been enacted, and this is an act amending section 22191 half of the revised administrative code and for other purposes. So everyone, wag kayong malilito kasi during this time etong one half and yung fractions, they are actually they are actually visible doon sa ating pong doon po sa ating administrative code. Okay? June 10, during that year, of course, a barrio council has been organized, and those are being composed of the following. So we have the barrio lieutenant and such number of deputy barrio as there are sitios within the barrio, a councilman for livelihood, for education, and then for health. So people, kaya nga mapapansin ninyo kung babalikan ninyo yung mga lugar dito sa Pilipinas at lalong-lalo sa sa mga pasikot-sikot, hindi ba meron kayong maririnig na mga sityos? Kasi itong mga sityos na ito, mga kapatid, is actually part ng ating pong mga baryo. Kaya nga may mga ilang lugar na up until this moment, sitio pa rin ang tinatawag po nila. Okay? Also, yung binabanggit natin na na yung mga binabanggit natin ng mga opisyales ng ating barrio council shall be elected at a meeting to be attended by at least one half of all the residents of the barrio who are qualified to vote. And of course, kung mapapansin nyo, dito nagsimula yung pagkakaroon ng idea on on fixing the date, of course, ng election. So the election daw during that time shall take place annually on the third Tuesday of January. Now, September 9, 1955, Republic Act number 1408, an act to amend RA 1245 entitled An Act Amending Section 22191, half of the Vice Administrative Code and for the other purposes and other related provisions of the same code. So ito yung naging ito yung naging eksena po niya, that every head of the family who is a resident of the barrio and is 21 years of age or over is eligible to vote in the election, provided that he has been a resident or he has been a resident of the barrio for at least 6 months prior to the election. Kaya nga kung mapapansin nyo ngayon, and also looking into your 1987 Constitution, quite similar siya, hindi ba? So meron tayong age requirement, meron tayong residency requirement. So mapapansin ninyo na nagganap yan simply because ayan you have your Republic Act number 1408. But before RA 1408, it has been said that many governmental and non-governmental agencies were sponsoring rural improvement programs independently. And it has been said that there was a duplication of functions and services, dissipation of effort, confusion among the barrio folk, organizational friction, and many hindrances in promoting an effective, unified community development program. Of course, if you will be introducing something na syempre na magbabago or magkakaroon ng pang pang development, of course hindi naman siya madali parate. No, lagit-lagi meron kang ano no, meron kang mga hindrances, meron kang mga eksenang kakaharapin as you ano no, as you gear towards that ano no, development program. During 1959, RA 2259, an act making elective no yung ating offices of mayor, vice mayor and councilors in chartered cities, regulating the election in such cities and fixing salaries and tenure of such offices has been enacted. Okay? So to give you an insight again, if we will be ano no, if we will be looking into the chartered cities, bakit nga ba siya tinawag na chartered? It is simply because meron siyang sariling charter. At ano itong charter na ito? So kung mapapansin natin, lahat ng mga local government units or public corporations kung tawagin, meron silang ano no, meron silang basis or meron silang batas na siya nag-establish doon sa mga cities na iyon o kaya naman ay yung mga municipalities or any government units, no? So with that, mapapansin natin that RA 2259 has made yung ating ano no, offices ng mayor, vice mayor, and councilors as an elective post. Not ano no, not appointed. So with this, mapapansin din natin na meron ng regulation ng election na nagaganap during this time. Also, RA 2264, an act amending the laws governing local governments by increasing their autonomy and reorganizing provincial governments has also been enacted. Okay? Isa pa to, no, yung RA 2370, which ano, no, granted autonomy to barrios of the Philippines, otherwise known as your Barrio Charter Act, no? So ano daw po yung magaganda na ano no or importanteng innovations o kaya pagbabago na naganap during the time na na-enact itong RA 2370. Here are the following. So of course, we have the voting, office holding and the Barrio Assembly. We have the taxing powers no ng ating Barrio Council. We also have the legislative powers ng ating Barrio Council and of course, yung tenure of office, gaano ba katagal no yung isang Barrio Council member mananatili doon sa pwesto na pag-uusapan na yan at finifix na siya rito. The removal or suspension of Barrio Council members kung sakali mang magkaroon silang pagkakamali o di naman kaya ay hindi sila susunod doon sa may protocol or standards na hinihingi no during that time, and of course, the Barrio Council members compensation. Nakalagay na po siya doon sa ating ano no, syempre sa ating Barrio Charter Act. Now, Presidential Decree number 431 has also been ano no, has also been issued by the president during that time, which prescribe a system of permanent and continuing registration of members of barangays, providing procedure for the creation of barangay in areas where there are none and for the elections of officials thereof. Kasi napakahalaga no, lalong-lalo ngayon kung mapapansin ninyo no, kung magiging redundant yung pagpapalista o pagpaparegister ng mga miyembro ng barangay. Of course, no, napaka-tedious ng process na ito and we will not be looking or wanting for that situation to happen simply because syempre kung paulit-ulit mas marami kang effort na ibibigay, mas marami kang pagod na mararamdaman, hindi ba? So, also Presidential Decree number 557 has also been issued which declared all barrios in the Philippines as barangays and for other purposes. Kaya nga mga kapatid, if you will be looking no sa mga rural areas, baryo pa rin ang tawag nila. Pero ang ano no, syempre with the Presidential Decree number 557, mapapansin natin na ang tamang termino talaga ay barangay. So huwag kayo malilito, of course, no? Yung baryo at barangay, they are the same thing, no? Pero if we will be declaring, of course, yung legal name, that will be barangay. Okay? So, ayan. Next, no, syempre, isa ito sa ano, no, isa ito sa pinakasikat na naging innovation and of course, naging ano, no, naging statute, your RA 7160, also known as your Local Government Code of your 1991. And according to Alex Brillantes Jr., it is considered the most radical and far-reaching policy that address the decades-old problem of a highly centralized politico-administrative system with most significant political and administrative decisions concentrated in Manila. Kasi nga, people, kung mapapansin ninyo, no, pag sinabi nyo Metro Manila or Manila per se, of course, mapapansin ninyo na, teka lang, parang nandito lahat ng kapangyarihan. At yung mga probinsya o di naman kaya ay yung mga local government units na malayo sa Manila, no, na parang less silang makapangyarihan compared dito sa Manila. So with this, the aim of your RA 7160 is of course, ayan ano, syempre masolusyonan yung problema ng pagiging ano no centralized or highly centralized ng ating pong political system na hindi lang dapat sa Manila nagaganap yung mga pagbabago o di naman kaya yung mga serbisyo na ibinibigay. Of course, kailangan yan kasi nga Pilipinas naman yung pinag-uusapan natin at hindi lang naman iisang lugar o isang rehiyon. Okay, so during these present times, we can notice that local government units in all geopolitical levels continue to enjoy local autonomy that has been granted to them. Okay, kaya nga nakapag-decision sila on their own. They can also they can also enact ordinances na siyang na siyang magre-regulate sa kanila pong mga citizens. Next, continuous capacity development programs are also given to LGUs in order to enhance the services delivered to their constituents. Kaya nga people, if you will notice, yung ating mga yung ating pong mga mayors, vice mayors, even councilors, and even yung mga SK, hindi ba? Mapapansin ninyo na patuloy silang nag-aaral, patuloy silang umaattend ng seminar so that they will be able to better themselves. Also, your national government agencies issues policies for LGUs to address gaps and issues arising as well as enhancement of programs that are being implemented. Kaya nga kung mapapansin din ninyo, ayan the moment halimbawa na merong merong sabihin halimbawa yung mga national government agency, most likely itong mga LGU, they are they are also compliant. And of course, nakipagtulungan sila sa gusto mangyari ng national government. Next, syempre dahil nga pinag-uusapan na natin ngayon yung mga sitwasyon na kung saan merong dumidikta, merong ibinibigay na na utos or meron di mga batas. Kung mapapansin ninyo, merong kang batas na Republic Act, pero meron ka rin mga statute kagaya ng mga ordinances, no? So, kung mapapansin natin, maaring at some point magkakaroon kayo ng pagkakaiba-iba ng sinasabi na itong mga batas na ito. Pero para hindi tayo mahirapan na magdesisyon, sino ba dapat ang masunod? Sino ba dapat ang ating ang ating i-uphold? Ito po yung hierarchy of law. So, please take note that the highest law of the land or the supreme law of the land is what we call as the Philippine Constitution. Baliwala lahat yung mga batas na ginagawa kapag ang kalaban po ninyo ay yung Philippine Constitution pagdating sa hierarchy of laws kasi siya ang pinakamataas. Ibig sabihin, walang pwedeng mag-go against sa sinasabi ng Philippine Constitution unless otherwise revised and amended. Okay? At pagkababa niyang Philippine Constitution, ang susunod sa pinakamataas ay tatawag natin na national laws and international treaties or agreements. No? So yung mga national laws natin, ito yung mga binabanggit natin na mga Republic Acts na siyang na siyang pinapasa ng ating pong Kongreso, parehong mababang kapulungan at saka yung mataas na kapulungan which is your your Senate, and of course yung counterpart niya ay yung House of Representatives. Okay, so kung tatanungin din natin bakit meron tayong international treaties or agreements, always remember, 'di ba binabanggit nga rin in your in your Article 2, Section 2 na lahat na merong pinag-usapan or pinag-agree ng syempre ng international community at kung signatory halimbawa rito ang Pilipinas, we may actually adopt it as part of our laws. Okay, kaya nga kung mapapansin ninyo, ang national laws natin at saka international treaties or agreement, they are the same. Ibig sabihin, magkapantay po sila ng ng level ng ng ating mga batas. Sa baba naman nito, we have your administrative issuances to implement yung national laws. Karaniwan, ito yung ating mga IRRs or yung mga implementing rules and regulations na siyang magpapatupad ng ating ng ating mga batas na binabanggit kanina. At ang pinakamababa, of course, na batas ay ang tinatawag po natin ng mga ordinansa na siyang ginagawa ng inyo pong mga local government units kagaya ng probinsya, kagaya ng lungsod, kagaya ng munisipyo, at even yung barangay ha. So kung pag-usapan natin 'yan, syempre ito ang pinakamababa na na nauri ng batas compared sa ating ng mga nauna na nabanggit kanina. So you may ask, sir, say for example, merong merong batas si si city government. Tapos it goes again yes nag-against siya doon sa gustong gustong mangyari ng ating pong barangay. So sino po ang masusunod? Siyempre, kung titignan po natin, siyempre sa local government unit, may hierarchy din. Siyempre, masusunod dyan yung city government kasi ang city government ay under nito ay yung mga barangay. So, yan ang eksena natin if we are dealing with the hierarchy of law. So, masusunod yan. Hindi pwedeng, hindi pwedeng masusunod si ordinances laban kay Philippine Constitution. Hindi po. So, dapat ang itsura po niyan ay lahat ng mga batas ay nakaangkla sa gustong sabihin po ng inyo pong konstitusyon. Kasi after all, again, siya po ang pinakamataas na uri ng batas sa Pilipinas. Ayan, no? So, syempre, if we are to classify yung ating pong mga batas, eto po, no? So, they may be classified as special law or general law. So, when you say special law, from the word itself, special, no? It relates to a particular persons or things of a class or to a particular portion or section of the state only. Pero, if you will be comparing it to the general law, of course, general, it affects all people of the states or yung particular class of persons in the state or basta anything na ano, no? Syempre, pag sinabi mong general, pangkalahatan. Pero kung ikukumpara niyo po yung dalawa, no? Kapag halimbawa mayroong pong ano, no? Mayroong pong discrepancy or pagkakaiba, ang lagi pong magpe-prevail ay yung inyo pong special law. So, kung tatanungin ninyo, sir, yung Local Government Code of 1991 po ba, special or general? Ang sagot po, it's a special law. Simply because it deals, of course, no, yung ating mga local government units which outline their powers and functions in consonance with the constitutionally mandated policy of local autonomy. Hindi neto saklaw yung mga national government agencies kasi nga syempre party ito ng national government. Okay? So, of course, if we are to define yung local government, kasi ito na yung pinag-uusapan natin, according to the case of Basco versus PAGCOR, it has been defined by the court as a political subdivision of a nation or state which is constituted by law and has substantial control over local affairs. So, paano raw po natin, of course, no, masasabi na itong mga local government units na ito ay meron daw pong autonomy. So, first, they must be self-reliant communities. Ibig sabihin, kaya nilang patakbuhin yung kanila pong lugar nang sila-sila lang, no? Kaya nilang mag-rely sa kanila pong mga nasasakupan. And of course, there is a system of decentralization which will involve yung ating no, yung ating pong power, authority, responsibility, and even yung resources na siyang kinakailangan po ng ating pong mga local government units. Okay? Siyempre, itong mga local government units na ito, kagaya rin ng ating po national government, of course, they have what we call as the accountability. Siyempre, no, mga official yan with the responsibility, of course, you will also have your accountability. So number one, we have the recall or the loss of confidence in the elected official. So after 1 year, after the assumption into the office nung nung isang official, if say for example, maramdaman na ng taong bayan na hindi na sila tiwala dito sa sa officer na ito or di naman kaya itong na to no, official na ito, automatic they may ask for a recall. Number two, we also have the initiative. It is the petition to enact certain legislation. Kaya kung mapapansin niyo no, kung babalikan po natin yung po no, yung legislative power as a general rule, it is being vested doon po sa ating pong Congress. Hindi ba? Pagdating po sa legislative power. Pero exemption niyan, of course, ay binibigay po sa taong bayan. Kaya nga kung mapapansin niyo, di ba, noong nakaraang taon, merong no, merong measure na ang plano nila ay sila-sila na mismo ang gagawa or taong bayan na ang gagawa ng ating pong no, ng ating pong batas na siyang magiging na siya magiging parte po ng ating pong bansa. Ayan pero hindi naman siya nag-prosper, hindi ba? Pero kung mapapansin niyo, medyo mahirap ito kasi kailangan na no, makakuha ng pirma ng ating pong no, ng ating pong population. And of course, we have what we call as the referendum. No, yung referendum na siya nag-approve or nagre-reject po ng mga policies na inenact po ng ating pong no, ng ating pong of course ng ating pong mga officials. Okay? And with that, ayan baka meron po sila mga katanungan or gusto pong itanong mula po sa ating lesson o di naman kaya kay sir. Please feel free no na mag-comment kung sakali o di naman kaya ay mag-send ng ng message so that we will be able to further discuss and of course talk about kung ano man po yung ating pong katanungan. Okay? And that's it for our discussion about the history of local governance from post-colonial period to present times. So let me also grab the opportunity, of course, to thank everyone who attended our session and I hope to see you all again on the succeeding ones. Until then, mag-ingat po sila at maraming maraming salamat muli sa panonood.